Restoration, it is good to be back with you this week. Super thankful for the time off and time for vacation, but really looking forward to being back with you this Sunday, teaching in our series and finishing up our series, The Summer of Psalms. Now, as I mentioned, all throughout this summer, if you're following the Bible reading plan in the app, we're in the book of Psalms 2 or 3 times a week. But this week, if you missed it, I really want you to hit pause and I want you to go back and read Psalm 78. It is so good. So in fact, I want to go ahead and ask you to do that. If you haven't read Psalm 78, go ahead and hit pause, read it, and then come back to the video and we'll debrief. All right, listen, Psalm 78, super important, man. So beautiful, such rich, good meat in Psalm 78. In verse 1, going all the way down to verse 8, here's the point. Man, we must intentionally pass our faith to the next generation. The scripture says, I will not shut my mouth. Then it says, we will not hide this from our children. You understand that faith is one generation away from being missed in your family. It is crucially important. Amidst all the other stuff that we have going on in lives, jobs, sports, raising children, taking care of aging parents, whatever the case may be, listen, we have to be intentional on passing our faith to the next generation. That starts at home, but doesn't just end there. We talk about it all the time, right? Being a missionary, where we live, learn, work, and play. It's about proclaiming the faithfulness of God and sharing our faith. The other thing that I want you to see is this. If you look in verses 9 through 16, when you and I forget God's work in our lives, we begin a spiritual decline pretty quick. We must remember, or just like the psalmist does, the Exodus, the Red Sea, God's provision, we have to remember God's faithfulness in our lives so that we maintain that spiritual growth, that big fancy word called sanctification in our lives. Otherwise, we are certainly on a spiritual decline. And then verses 17:30 through 31, man, here's what I got. Complaining reveals a heart that doesn't trust God. Man, that was convicting for me to even say. Complaining reveals a heart that doesn't trust God. You see it in verses 17 through 31. Listen, a heart of gratitude shows that we trust God. So it shows that we know God is with us, that He's for us, that He's doing something in and through us. But complaining reveals a lack of trust. And then what we see kind of to end the whole entire chapter there from verses 38 through 72, I know it's a lot. God's mercy is always greater than our rebellion. God's mercy is always greater than our rebellion. I hope that'll encourage you today, encourage you this weekend, maybe even for the rest of the month as we lead into school getting back in, man. Listen, our faith is meant to be shared and proclaimed. And when you and I forget God's handiwork in our lives and His faithfulness in our lives, we begin a spiritual decline. Listen, the air conditioners broke in this office apparently. I'm beginning to sweat, but here's what I want you to know. We got baptism coming up this Saturday morning. In addition to Kingdom Living, how to share your faith, which we just talked about, with confidence. That'll take place right here at 10 o'clock on Saturday morning. Then, listen, don't want to muddy the waters, but the following Sunday, I believe it's August 2nd, we're going to have baptism in the worship center. So I want to encourage you to sign up for either one of those or either our beach baptism in August as well. Church, I love you. I'm thankful to be back. Looking forward to being back on mission with you on Sunday.